Good morning, good morning. Welcome to our host, Anthony. Today, we're going to have a insightful conversation. For those who are new to the channel, we make mental health conversation content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being, right? But in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about how stress narrows perception and decision-making, right? So we got to take in consideration because when we're stressed, the world feels smaller, more urgent, even more overwhelming than it really usually is, right? So everybody's response is going to be different, right? But we really got to be able to make the connections because when we're stressed, right, our decision-making, things that we do, right, may not be rational, may not be correct, may not be our best, thought or things that we should be anticipating to do, but we got to be able to take into consideration because there's a lot of things going on, right? But I want to be able to normalize the experience, right? So everybody's experience when it comes to their stress levels, right? We all have it, right? But it looks different for everybody on how they respond, right? But stress can make us feel stuck, reactive, or even unable to see solutions, like I said, in rational ways, right? It often creates illusions or options that are available for you in the moment, how you perceive things. However, like I said, stress is something that, transcends with all of us, right? So if you feel trapped, you feel overwhelmed, or you feel like you've been unable to think clearly, it doesn't mean that you're incapable, right? There's something wrong with you, right? It means that you're simply operating at a stress state. So we got to be able to take that in consideration. Like I said, most people out here, I really advocate for the journaling, be able to build that self-rapport with yourself, understand what's going on with your mood, how you feel, some accomplishments, some goals, like there's different things that you got going on that you want to be able to kind of just get off, your mind, your conscience, and really just kind of examine that on a constant basis with yourself in regards to that self-care, right? So it's really important, like I said, journal. Get yourself a pen, paper, and really find some allocated time where you're able to really implement that, right? But that will be able to help, get some self-awareness around that stress. However, most people are not doing that, right? So that's why we see people doing things irrational because they're not able to really think about things thoroughly because they're going through immense stress, and there's different aspects in their life that are also trickling down in their conscience, their mindset, etc. Right? So let's talk about some psychoeducation because when you know better, you tend to do better. You know what I mean? So let's get some information, right? So stress activates the brain's survival response. When survival mode takes over, the brain prioritizes immediate threats over long-term thinking. You may not be rationalized, you may not be thinking about the best, like I said, decision that you can be doing right now. Let's say if something was to transpire, right? Let's just be real, right? So sometimes you may, or even seen in the videos, right? Someone's going to like a drive-through, someone's going to, a fast food restaurant, and they may not get food in the time that they anticipate. And then what happens? It just, there's some type of brawl, there's some type of, cussing out, a lot of things going on, right? But if someone was more, right, peace, state of mind, right? You're able to rationalize, have some understand that, this is fast food. There's a lot of people, things going on, right? The staff, etc. So people are doing the best that they can, right? And at the end of the day, like, this is just what it is, right? So you got to just have some understanding to what people what got going on, the job, the role, etc., right? However, when you're stressed out, like I said, things feel urgent. You feel like you want your food now, right? Things don't work that way, right? We have to understand that we got to kind of have an understanding that we don't have entitlement. You can't just walk into anywhere and expect something like someone owes you something, right? We're all coming in here with the same money that we have in your pocket, right? You feel me? Someone was in before you or after, Like we got to be able to kind of just be able to establish ourselves in a well put manner, right? And like I said, when we're in a situation where we have more of a peaceful state of mind, we're able to rationalize things much better and make better decision making, right? So when we're stressed, sometimes these things do emerge, they definitely do happen, right? But I just gave you an example there, but I want you guys to also kind of think about what happened in your life, or things that you've seen, or what example do you have that kind of makes a connection to what we got going on over here, because stress really does show. Right, so attention narrows, right? So when it comes to, like I said, making those harder decisions, possibilities, opportunities, and other alternative solutions, it really becomes, a little difficult, like I said, when you are stressed. So it doesn't just affect how you feel, it affects what you also notice and how you see things, your perception. So, like I said, things may be way off because you need that rest, you need that support, you need that, that self-care, right? So I really want us to understand that we got to understand our body, we got to understand our limitations, our capacity, when enough's enough, right? And we got to be able to, like I said, seek the support if necessary, because when you're stressed, you may focus on everything that could go wrong, some things that you're overlooking in regards to resources, your strengths, some support that can be available for you, right? So you're just your decision, your mind is a lot going on, right? So it's like almost like an alarm that's going on in your head, but you're not taking that into consideration. So I really want to take that in consideration because I don't want you to be taught from the floor up. I don't want you to make decisions that are going to be compromising your well-being, your life, right? And you know what I mean? Like, I just really want us to understand that our mental health is really, you know what I mean, something that we got to be able to assess and take more seriously. In regards to practical reframing, because something that's going to be able to help our mindset, not every thought that appears, you know what I mean, during stress is accurate. That's why it's important, for, like I said, us to be able to have our self-reflection, you know what I mean? Because we got to be attached to our reality, right? Our mind tends to wander, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And thoughts are thoughts, right? But we got to be able to, like I said, have that self-report, understand what's really going on. And if support, you know what I mean, helps with a therapist, that'll be beneficial as well, right? So before making important decisions, you want to be able to create that space for, like I said, that perspective. Make sure that you know what I mean, you're in a good state of mind. You're able to, like I said, really rationalize something before you do it. Think before you respond, right? You really want to be able to ask yourself what you might be missing. Is it something that's, you know what I mean, like you misperceiving something, right? Like really, like I said, reassess yourself, right? And that's really important when we're in these situations, when we're engaging with people. People don't always understand us. People don't always understand your culture. That's why it's really big to have DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, cultural competence, like all these different things, so we're able to know each other's culture, learn each other's culture, right? And really anticipate some type of understanding, right? Everybody has a different culture, understanding, and the things that they went through, right? The way that your parents raised you is different than someone else across the country, right? And the people that are around you as well. So, right, so that's why it's really important for us to have respect, right? Unity, right? Everybody type of thing, right? But we also got to, like I said, is understand within you when you're stressed, because that's how you feel about yourself, and when you're stressed out affects people around you, right? So I really want us to have understanding about that as well. So just because you can't see the solution right now doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, right? There is solution, right? You got to understand, like I said, mindfulness, breathe, do something that's going to really kind of get you back to a conducive state of mind, so you're able to really make a correct decision for yourself the best as possible, right? But understand that there is support out there once again, right? So moving forward into micro action, because you know better, you tend to do better, right? So the next time you feel overwhelmed, next time you feel stressed, right, pause and identify a possible, you know, a solution, instead of just focusing on one instant just response, right? I don't want you to just make an impulsive decision that's going to compromise your well-being or your life, right? So really ask yourself, what will I tell a friend I was facing this situation? Right, so we're always quick to anticipate helping someone else and telling us what they should be doing and this or that, right? And being that person, right? But really guide your life with that more compassion, with that understanding, right? And a more conducive, you know what I mean, rational mind, right? Someone got to be leading your mind, right? And you got to be leading yourself into a position that's not going to compromise you, right? So when you're stressed, right? So look for one piece of evidence, a challenging situation, and think about different case scenarios that may happen perhaps, right? And how you're able to really, you know, utilize rational thinking for you able to navigate these situations through, right? This is what's going to help you have the resilience. This is what's going to help you build your strength. This is what's going to help you have the confidence, right? I'm gotta be real with you, right? There's a lot of people out here that are hurting, that have went through different situations. You know, you're going to have bosses, you're going to have supervisors, you're going to have different people out here in the world that's going to, you know what I mean? And they're going to be just moving the way they move, right? But we got to be able to understand how we move, right? And understand that self-care, understanding that we're going to be able to navigate and have that emotional intelligence, right? So whatever the work that we put in, we're going to have some great gifts that's really going to shine amongst you. So that's why personal development is really important, right? We're not worrying about to the left, to the right. We got to worry about what's on our plate, right? So I really want to take into consideration, think about these things, really work on these skills, right? Anticipate for that support again, right? Because this is what's going to be able to help us build ourselves and build our skills in situations of stress, right? But wrapping this video up together, right? I really want us to take into consideration that stress is gonna happen, right? We have our lows, we have our highs, right? But like I said, we gotta know our capacity. We gotta know when enough's enough, right? We gotta know when, like, yo, like, I'm tripping, I'm bugging out, right? My behavior's kind of like, you know what I mean? And also too, anticipate the people around you, right? So when people are seeing different things from you, right, don't always, you know what I mean, like shut down and go into isolation mode, or just, you know what I mean, like really listen with compassion, really listen with that ear, right? Don't take everything personal, right? But just really listen things for understanding, listen for clarity, right? And try to make the probable changes for yourself, so you're able to really get back on the track, so you're able to have that conducive state of mind, right? Self-care is really important. Your health's important. Your mental health's important, right? Your state of mind's important, right? And when we're stressed, we got to be able to, like I said, take that urgent, take that serious, right? Because, you know what I mean, your life's important, right? However, if you found this video beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share it possible. See you on the next one. Take it easy.